So, Tim, we're here today talking about fence detection systems, and fence is a big piece of metal, needless to say, on a perimeter. And then, Southwest Microwave, the Intrepid 2 boxes are good for, really 200 meters on this side, 200 meters on that side. So there's a couple of these that are on that fence. When you have bad weather, and we just had some bad weather actually this week out here, when you're dealing with lightning and issues of that nature, how do we make sure that our product is going to hold up and not have any issues?
Well, first and foremost, all of our products are robust, intended for an outdoor industrial environment. So right off the bat, we're protected there.
Good.
But to answer your question, as far as lightning and bad weather, ground surges, and things like that are concerned, we take special precaution and special care to ensure that we are protected from that. So most of the sites that will be using CCTV systems, gate controllers, other electronic devices around the perimeter, know that those are going to be susceptible to EMI, RFI issues, lightning damage, ground surge, and most of those sites take appropriate precautions right off the bat.
Sure.
The first precaution is grounding the fence. So quality fences that are installed at these sites, they'll ground them appropriately, and there is recommendation ground at multiple points along the perimeter, so it is actually grounded.
Sure.
And that's the first step. The second step is moving into the interior of the site at the control room. So it doesn't matter what type of sensor you have, whether you're talking about cameras or gate controllers or perimeter sensors, there's always equipment within the control room. That equipment, our relay output modules, our control modules, our system controllers and other electronics are all protected mostly by the interior or internal systems. But once we start making our way out to the perimeter, that's where we take over.
Okay.
And the first step we do is we apply 2 surge protection devices, our JB70As. So one JB70A is applied at the building, either inside or outside the wall, doesn't really make a difference. But the idea is to protect the electronic components inside the building from induced voltages or surges coming from outside.
Sure.
So one at the building, and then we move out to where the fence is, and we put another JB70A out there.
Okay.
The idea there is it may be 100 feet, it may be 1,000 feet of wire in the ground and conduit. That could be a potential antenna to induce voltages into the fence system.
So you're isolating basically both sides of the system. And like fiber optic units that are out there, fiber optic systems, yeah, it's a piece of glass and it's immune to EMI, RFI, lightning and that, but even the power is susceptible to lightning and issues of that nature. So again, so you're protecting both the AC, power, communication, wiring, everything across the board.
Sure, and when we're dealing with fence-mounted sensors, there is always an electronic component and there's always a sensor component.
Sure.
So copper-based systems are no more susceptible to electronic or surge protection damage, lightning damage than the fiber optic systems are. It just depends on where the electronics are and what protections are in place to protect those circuits.
Gotcha.
So with the MicroPoint system, we've pulled the processor here out of the box so I can show you what we've got going. Right off the bat, we've got our input comm lines. So these 2 communication ports are optically isolated. This optical isolation allows data to pass through optical bursts, prevents any electronic interference, voltage, current passing through from the lines onto the board itself.
Gotcha.
Second to that, all of the components are surface mounted and they're protected in these shield cans.
Okay.
So these boards are pretty robust. Not only have we taken those precautions, but we also conformal coat the board so I can handle this without worrying about EMI, RFI protection just as we stand here.
Wow. Okay.
So right off the bat, we're safe that way.
Great.
The way the systems work though is the fence mounted sensor, the sensing part is the sensor cable.
Right.
These are just monitoring and adjusting what's happening with the fence sensor. And most of the concern lies within the copper wire being on the fence.
Gotcha.
So a lot of customers will ask the question, if we have lightning out here, is this copper cable going to transmit that into the processor?
Sure.
Well, the answer is no if it is done right.
Okay.
And so if you install according to the manufacturer's recommendations, you don't have any concerns with that.
Good.
And so one of the ways that we protect is by the floating ground principle. Okay. So the first processor on the fence, like I said, where that JB70 is, it's grounded. It's grounded to the JB70, which is then earth grounded.
Gotcha.
From there, as we move along the sensor cable away from that processor, a floating principle or floating ground principle applies. And what that does is it takes an alternate ground potential from the fence. So like we said earlier, most good fences are grounded.
Right.
If the fence is grounded appropriately, our floating ground potential electrically isolates all of the electronics and the sensor cable from that ground. And we all know lightning takes the path of least resistance.
Yes.
Right? So if the fence is grounded, and this is on a floating ground with different ground potentials, if lightning strikes nearby, if there's ground surges, those will pass right through the fence and completely avoid the cables themselves.
Great. Tim, thank you so much for answering the questions.
Sure.